Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk, and so I haven't done this for a while, but I'm going to do a contest entry video. And so this contest is by the Auditory Vinyl, who used to have a channel called Doug Anderson, but then Doug Anderson decided to reboot his channel and call it the Auditory Vinyl. So hey, Doug, or shall we just call you Odd now? You have basically a 1, 2, 3 themed contest. So what's the one about? Well, we're supposed to give a shout out to a channel, then show one record. That would be the kind of record that their channel would show. So I'm going to give a shout out to Wyoming Dave out there in Wyoming. And we know that Wyoming Dave likes stuff like jazz. He likes music from the 50s and 60s. That's a lot of his thing. Dave will find his records in like rummage sales and the like. And so I'm going to show this Dave Brubeck record, time further out, so it's not the super famous Dave Brubeck album, but one that came out shortly afterwards. This came out in 1961. This is something that I found at Goodwill for either $1 or $2. I don't remember exactly. It's Columbia 6i, so you get VC cred by showing off that you have a Columbia 6i. I know Wyoming Dave would certainly buy that record for $1 or $2 if he came across it, and so did I. That brings us to the number 2. So Doug wants us to show 2 records that don't normally get shown in the VC. So the first one I'm going to show, I don't really see people showing records by Hum. So Hum was kind of one of your 90s alternative groups. I'm actually showing Polyvinyl and re-released, they distributed Earth Analog, re-released like all their famous albums, or I shouldn't say famous, all their albums. I don't know if any of them are famous. If any of them are famous, it would be this one, You Prefer an Astronaut. So this had a song called Stars, came out in 1995. It was on RCA back then. They were from the kind of the Champaign-Urbana, Illinois area, and they were one of those groups that I thought should have been bigger than they were. I actually picked up all 4 of their albums when they got reissued. There's actually a 5th album that they sort of disowned. Their first album that had a different singer that didn't get re-released. And then because it's a re-release, this one's on green translucent vinyl. I think they color coded them based on sort of the color of the particular album. Then the other one, and this is one you're going to see a few months down the road when I get to it in my digging for records out in the wilds videos, but you might be saying, wow, I can't read that. It's in Cyrillic. Yeah, so this is a Russian record. And so this is the album Rubicon by the Mozaika Group. There they are. This was recorded in 1987. And I heard it was like Russian metal, so I'm like, oh, 1987, so is this like the Russian version of like Motley Crue or Rat or something like that? But if you look at them, you should realize that, of course, they were like 15 years behind. This sounds much more like Deep Purple or Uriah Heep circa 1972 than it sounds like anything that was coming out in the United States in the 1980s. And of course it's sung in Russian, and I don't understand Russian. But it's kind of a weird thing that you've probably never seen anybody show before. And then he wants he wants us to show an artist that's been in 3 different groups and maybe do a bonus of a solo as well. So I'm going to pick one of my favorite Massachusetts artists, which of course will be Lou Barlow. And so of course Lou Barlow is the bass player for Dinosaur Jr. This is a reissue of their debut album. Now if you have the original, it's not Junior, it's just Dinosaur. And of course you've got the super young picture of the core lineup there. So you got the drummer Murph on the left, Jay Mascis, about 18 or 19 years old there in the middle. I mean, you could tell Jay Mascis is a cool guy. Then on the right, in his geeky aviator 80s glasses and not as cool of hair, is Lou Barlow. It's sort of Freaks and Geeks-ish, if you remember that TV show. Lou sort of looks like I looked back when I was in high school as well, because I had sort of the Freaks and Geeks things going on as well. So Jay, of course, was a cool guy who probably smoked pot and didn't go to class very much, and Lou Barlow did his algebra homework for him. Lou vocal, bass, and Casio listed as his instruments there. And then another band that Lou Barlow's been in is the Folk Implosion, but I'm going to show you the Deluxe Folk Implosion. So this was something that they did in 1994. So this is sort of a blending of some of the Sebadoh lineup at the time, along with like John Davis, who he did Folk Implosion with. And you can see Lou signed my album for me. And so the Deluxe Folk Implosion is a noisier version of the Folk Implosion, which is a more folky sounding version of it. And then, of course, Lou is besides being in Dinosaur Jr., he's known for his own band, Sebadoh as well. Since most of my Sebadoh from the 90s, all my Sebadoh from the 90s is on CD, I've chosen to show, and yes, I still have the shrink on, Sebadoh Act Surprise, which is their album from 2019. So you can see Lou sitting there in the middle. So he's got cooler glasses, longer hair. Even though he's a couple years older than me, he seems to be better at not having his beard grow gray than I did. Jay Masca still has that cool long hair, but he's totally gray now. And of course, since it's a 2019 album, it's on colored vinyl because it must be. And then the bonus. So, Centrido, Lubicore. I mean, we can think of this as being solo Lou Barlow because he does everything on here. This is a CD that was basically a compilation of stuff that he'd been releasing online back around the turn of the century. And you can see he said, "Thanks for ordering my shit, Chris, Lou B." August of 2002. And so, because it's Centrido-ish, there's tons of short songs. There's a few gems and a lot of weird stuff on here. But there you go. 3 plus a bonus from Lou Barlow. So, there you go, Doug.